Hey guys, this is David, and I'm going to do my very first fan commentary. And I decided to start off with something small and simple. I am starting off with a Power Ranger episode, Power Rangers Wild Force, episode Forever Red. So this is episode 34, and if you have the episode somehow, either on DVD, I'm using my DVD from the 20th from the collection. I think it's seasons 8 to 12. So I'm using that Power Ranger Wild Force episode. It's on disc 5, episode 34. And if you don't have it on DVD, don't worry. Netflix has every season of Power Rangers. And yeah, it's on episode 34 on Netflix as well. So if you don't have the DVD of Power Rangers Wild Force, do not worry. It's also on Netflix. There might be other ways to get the episode as well. So if you can find a way to find the episode in some capacity or another, get it. And then you can watch the episode while I'm talking about it at the same time. And yeah, this is something I wanted to do for a while now, do a fan commentary of my own. And like I said, I wanted to start off with something simple, something that I knew a lot about. And Forever Red is a great episode, so I wanted to talk about it all the way through. So I'm gonna put up the volume, and then when I press play, you can sync it up with the sound that you hear in the background, so that way we're all lined up and ready to go. So get ready. So I have it on the title screen right now, and it's on Forever Red, and I'm pressing play right now. So here we have the Power Rangers Wild Force theme song. I have to say, one of my favorite theme songs from Power Rangers. I think a lot of the Power Ranger theme songs are pretty cool to listen to, but Wild Force is definitely one of the best. And as a season, though, I'll admit right now it's not one of my all-time favorite seasons. It was a good season. I'd put it somewhere maybe towards the bottom, but not all the way at the bottom. One of the things that do bring it down, unfortunately, is the cast. I feel the cast is pretty weak. I don't know if I should blame them, though, since I've heard from some interviews that maybe the actors were told to dumb it down a little bit, which I don't know why the producers would tell them that, but oh well. One of the many dramatic behind-the-scenes examples of what Jonathan Zacher, the producer, had done during those years. Except there have been some seasons that he's done where the acting has been pretty decent. But yeah, Wild Force, definitely some of the worst acting you'll see. And here we see the Machine Empire on the moon. They're uncovering Serpentera. This was definitely an anniversary season that utilized the villains from Mighty Morphin in some capacity. Serpentera was Lord Zed's Zord from season 2. And the Machine Empire were, the villains from Power Rangers Zeo, the 4th season, the first season that started changing things. And we got Andros here, one of my all-time favorite Red Rangers. He's the first one introduced in this 10th anniversary team-up. And what's cool about the Machine Empire, though, if people don't know, is that some of the voice actors are actually actors from some of the other Power Rangers seasons. Like, the green one here, he's not here now, but he's riding the horse there. The green one is actually voiced by Walter Jones, who was the original Black Ranger. And General Venjix, the main villain that they're fighting, is voiced by Archie Kao, and the white one was voiced by Catherine Sutherland, the second Pink Ranger who took over for Kimberly. And here we got Bulk and Skull being thrown into the pool. It's definitely cool to have Bulk and Skull back. A lot of fans, they talk about, like, how did Bulk get back to Earth, because in Lost Galaxy, last time we saw him, he was on another planet. And I always just said Andros gave him a ride back home or something. And we get our first glimpse of Tommy, the original Green Ranger, who became eventually the Red Ranger in Power Rangers Zeo. And Carter comes knocking on the Wild Force Ranger's door at the park. And yeah, so it's cool seeing how all these Rangers are introduced one by one, and all of them are introduced in the way they should be. Like Carter's recruiting, because if you watch Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, they were all recruited into being Lightspeed Rangers. So it's cool that Carter is the one that recruits Cole. Andros is the one on the moon because Power Rangers in space, right? He would have the ability to be searching in space. And we get to see Wes and Eric here, who had a crossover with Cole not too long ago in the Wild Force Time Force team up. And they were given some limited time, I heard, because of that. If you listen to all the other Rangers, those two are the ones with the least dialogue, I noticed. TJ, the Red Turbo Ranger, who later became the Blue Space Ranger. So a lot of these Rangers have interacted with one another before in some capacity or another. But it's cool now we're getting to see like Andros in the same scene with Cole or Wes. Like some Rangers haven't worked together before, and I think that's what makes this episode a lot of fun. Kind of like the Avengers, where you get to see certain interactions that we never saw before, like Thor interacting with Iron Man, etc. We get to see different Red Rangers interact with others. And no one ever thought that Tommy or Jason would ever return. I remember back in the day, I joined Ranger Board maybe in 2001, and no one ever thought an episode like this would be possible. And then when it actually happened, it shut the naysayers up. It was really cool. Like Tommy and Andros right there together, it was just really cool to see for the first time. And when pictures started being released, I think from Jason David Frank's official website, it was just really cool to see all of this. Tommy giving some little backstory on the Machine Empire and their plan.
How are we supposed to get there to stop them in this?
The Megaship Mark II. If you remember in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the original Megaship was destroyed in that season. Even though that Megaship belonged to the Space Rangers, right? Because the Lost Galaxy Rangers borrowed it. That's when Power Rangers was still being more creative back then, doing stuff like that. Like, it didn't matter which Sentai series it came from. Just use it if we need it. I liked a lot of that stuff that they did back in some of the earlier seasons. Like, they didn't let the Sentai footage hold them back. They did whatever they felt served the purpose to the story. Andros says isn't there another Red Ranger here on Earth? But every fan knows actually there's two more Red Rangers here on Earth. Jason, obviously the original Red Ranger who's about to show up right now. And then there's Rocky, and everybody wonders, where the heck's Rocky in this episode? Why isn't Rocky recruited? And some people could say because he was the Blue Zeo Ranger. I think that's dumb. Because TJ was the Blue Space Ranger after he was Red. So it's like, that's no excuse. Apparently they did try to get Steve Cardenas, who played Rocky, but apparently he was moving or something at the time, what he said at a convention, and they couldn't reach him, so it was already too late. And, I mean, the more I think about it, I actually think they weren't going to contact him, because what would he be, the Red Ninja Ranger? That wasn't really a ranger, that was just a ninja suit. And no helmet, no nothing. I guess they could have pulled it off with that instead of Quantum Ranger. But I think it worked out perfectly the way it did. I don't think you needed Rocky. It still would have been nice to have him in there since he was a Red Ranger too. Maybe a cameo or something. Or maybe let him do... I always thought it would be cool if he did the voice of the Red Alien Ranger, who we never get to see his face here. I thought it would be cool if they got him to play that instead. Kind of like a tribute to both characters. I don't know. I really like how they utilize the mythology of both the Machine Empire and Lord Zed's Zord it really shows how much the mythology of Power Rangers has built up in those 10 years. And we got to see that statue of King Mondo, which was really cool. There's a lot of really great Easter eggs throughout this episode. Now we get to see Leo, the Red Galaxy Ranger. Apparently he came in at the last minute, so that's why his films were filmed separately, and there's one big indication of that he's never with the group. And when it comes up, I'll let you guys know if I remember, but we get a little Alpha cameo, which was really cool. The original voice of Alpha did the voice. But here's the catch with Alpha. Alpha here isn't listed as Alpha 5 or 6, the two Alphas that we've seen in the past. Alpha 5 was the original. It was replaced by early Turbo, very early in Turbo, by Alpha 6, who continued on in space and Lost Galaxy. This one is listed as Alpha 7, so even though he looks like Alpha 6 and he sounds like Alpha 5, he is actually Alpha 7. He's an all-new Alpha working with Andros in his megaship. That makes me wonder now what happened to Alpha 6, because the next time we do see Alpha 6 is in Once a Ranger in Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, and we find out that he's in a crate. So I always joke that maybe Andros just threw Alpha 6 in a crate. Oh, we don't need you anymore, you damn robot, get in there. And then he's stuffed away in Angel Grove. It's like Andros is abusive to Alphas. That's all. Alpha 5 was destroyed, apparently. Some fan fiction. Speaking of fan fiction, I have to mention before I forget, this episode was actually written by a former fan of the series. He was a fan who did the Power Ranger website called Power Rangers Online. His last name is escaping me. Amit Bomik or something like that. I forgot how to pronounce his last name. But yeah, he was a Power Ranger fan, and he did a website, Power Rangers Online. And he was the one who actually wrote the two team-ups in Power Rangers Wild Force, which are considered the best episodes of Wild Force. Wild Force it's not a fan-favorite season, but the team-ups are fan-favorite episodes for obvious reasons. This is a lot of fun. And now we get to see all the Rangers kicking ass together. This is a really cool moment. Even though TJ is kind of sidelined, like he gets a short amount of time, the shortest. I feel like, what? No equal treatment here. I like how they go close up though on Eric, Dan Southworth, Jason David Frank, and Austin St. John, because those are the three that actually know how to do all their own stunts. But when you look like that shot there, that's not really Christopher Kamen Lee. You can tell sometimes by the way they shoot it. And if you look carefully sometimes in freeze frame or sometimes once in a while, you can tell it's not really those actors. Sometimes this episode, I think they did a better job at hiding the actors' faces for their stunts, but there's episodes when you go back and watch, you can see that, yeah, they used a stunt double there. Now here comes this part here. Watch this. Cole starts running out. Stop. He's literally, he has to stop to tell them to stop. Oh man. Cole is an interesting character, that's for sure. There's some questionable choices that Power Ranger does. Another questionable choice is, why are people breathing on the moon? The machines I get, and now Leo and Oriko I get also, the Red Alien Ranger. Because they're wearing helmets, right? So, okay, yeah, they can be on the moon. But Cole and all these other Red Rangers now are all on the moon without helmets or anything. And there's been theories on how that could happen, like the very first season when Rita was on the moon, she casted a spell on the moon to allow people to breathe, because she had brought up humans up there before under her spell, right? So she needed them, and to survive, she casted a spell on the moon, and that's how people were able to breathe on the moon now. That's a good theory. But the show never explains that, so it's kind of no. The writers were just looking at us as if we were dumb. But you know what? By this point, season 10, because they had already done it so many times before, and this episode was just for fun, we had a good time with it, and ignoring that logic about people breathing in space. This is a cool moment too, but I always wondered why Leo and Wes never say they're like Red Galaxy Ranger or Red Time Force Ranger, because all the other ones are announcing their names, their Ranger code names, but Wes and Eric don't. They just say, see, Wes just says Time Force, and Leo just said Go Galactic. Why not say Red Galaxy Ranger and Red Time Force Ranger? Whatever. And the Red Alien Ranger is the only one that doesn't morph. He's just like in costume the entire time. And if you look carefully before they morphed, if you look carefully, there's a shot where after Leo demorphs, the camera pans out and you see all of them, but Leo is still in costume, even though he demorphed just a few seconds ago. That was also proof that Danny Slavin, who plays Leo, wasn't actually there. And now we get this really cool fight. Two Red Rangers team up against one of the Machine Generals. Venjix fights Jason and Cole. And I'm just wondering, like, where did Jason get all these moves? Like, he never did that before when he was a Ranger. You can tell this scene is outdated now because no one does Matrix spoofs anymore. And Tommy does a Matrix move. Coming up right now. They do bullet time right here. No one does bullet time anymore, but... Eric and Oriko team up here. The least Red Rangers, I guess, that people think about. No, I'm joking. Quantum Ranger is a Ranger that everybody in who are fans of Power Rangers that watch past Mighty Morphin love. The Quantum Ranger is a popular one, so I shouldn't say that. We got Leo and TJ here teaming up once again. Even though the last time they teamed up, TJ was blue. In the Space and Lost Galaxy crossover. So they're kind of like the only two Red Rangers that actually have teamed up before. Well, all the other Red Rangers that you see pairing up in this fight are like all Rangers that never teamed up before. Hey, somebody's going to eventually team up with someone they teamed up before. I think it's a cool pair-up, all these pair-ups. They're Rangers that I never thought. I would have liked to see Andros teaming up with Wes, because Time Force and In Space were my two favorite seasons of all time. If I had to pick one of them, it would be In Space. But yeah, I would have liked to see a Wes and Andros team up. Oh well. We get Andros and Carter, which is pretty good too. I've grown to like Carter and respect Carter throughout the years. I remember back when Lightspeed was airing, I hated Carter. But as years gone by and I seen some of Disney's Red Rangers, some of them were hits and some of them were misses, and it made me respect Carter a lot more. I realized, you know what, he might be the straight guy, but he's a cool badass once in a while. So apparently the end here, if I remember reading correctly, someone told me that apparently the original idea was for all the Red Rangers to call on their Zords, and they were all going to destroy Super Terra together with their Zords. But because of the budget restraints, because Disney had owned, this was actually the first season Disney had done, and because of budget restraints, they couldn't do that. Apparently there was I think I read other things. I think the writer of the episode, Amit, he posted up some scripts, some pages of the original script or story treatment or something that he was originally going to write, and apparently it was going to involve Dark Spectre, a group of occult following trying to resurrect Dark Spectre instead of using Serpentera and the Machine Empire. I don't know how true that is, but if it's coming from the writer, he'd know more than fans, right? So. And having Cole destroy Serpentera, you know, when you think about it, I know a lot of fans they didn't really like that, but when you think of the context of the show is called Power Rangers Wild Force, so it just makes sense for Cole to be the one to destroy Serpentera. So I was actually okay with this because it's understandable. It's just I think if Cole was a more fan favorite character, fans would embrace it a little bit more, but I think because he wasn't a fan favorite character, a lot of fans weren't too happy about it. I'm sure if there are Cole fans, they were happy about it. And I'm sure there are Cole fans. I think Cole is okay, if you ask me.
He's done a great service to the entire universe.
And here's their little goodbye. One hand is missing. That's, again, how you know Danny's... If you count those hands, there's supposed to be 9 hands there. There's only 8. That's how you know Danny Slavin is not actually there. And that shot there, too. He wasn't in that shot.
Wow. So that was time.
He filmed green screen later, and they inserted him in there afterwards.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. After all, I was the one that replaced him.
So everything they're saying in this scene now is references to the actual past of the show. They name dropped Kimberly there. They name dropped the Dragon Zord and the Q-Rex.
I changed history. So why does he have a fan club and I don't? Hey, I saved 2 worlds. What about that?
Andros's last line there was not supposed to be that. Apparently, there is behind-the-scenes footage that dropped, and his original quote was going to be that he was the one that killed Zordon, and apparently they cut it out because I guess if I had to guess, the reason they cut it out is because Andros shouldn't be gloating about killing Zordon, and he was there, so that's the reason it was cut out. And obviously the giant pizza, that actually happened in an episode of Power Rangers Turbo. The Turbo Rangers were baked in a giant pizza. There's no joke. I think the episode was called The Slice. It was Pizza by the Slice or something like that. And yeah, so if you want to check that episode out also, that's an interesting thing to check out. Little interesting facts. So there's a lot of Easter eggs in this episode, and you can see why a lot of fans really enjoy it. To this day, it's on a lot of people's top 10 lists, I notice, and it's on my top 10 list of Power Ranger episodes of all time. And I'm going to end this commentary here, guys. I think that's it. I think I talked about the episode enough. It's ending already. And yeah, I think that's it. If you guys like this video, let me know. Maybe I'll do more fan commentaries of other shows and other movies. Maybe even more Power Ranger commentaries. I don't mind that. I enjoy talking about Power Rangers anytime. So I've been a long-time fan. I've seen practically almost every season. A lot of the newer seasons I haven't seen too much of. I've seen enough. I know I've seen all of Samurai. And then after that, Megaforce, I almost watched all of it, but I was starting to... It's too much time consuming for me. So, I don't know. So like this video, subscribe to my channel, and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of the episode Power Rangers Wild Force. It's one of my all-time favorites. And if you're not a fan, I don't know, check it out and have fun with it. So until next time, take care.